Good evening, everyone. My name is Olga, participant of ALLATRA International Public Movement, and welcome on ALLATRA TV. Today we are having our interview with Engineer Goran Marjanovic from Serbia, who will tell us more about his research on Bosnian pyramids that he was, I think, conducting the last 10 years. And let me introduce my co-hosts today. We have Alexei from Dubai. Good evening. And we have also Jason from Michigan, from the States. Good morning. This interview today is taken within the framework of our global research project called KALEIDOSCOPE of Facts, that takes place every month. And also in the coming days, we'll be having the next Kaleidoscope of Facts related to pyramids. It's going to be 13th of December. And maybe, Dr. Goran, you can tell us what do you think and what is your research about this nature of the energy beam that emanating from the top of the pyramid of the sun. And maybe you can tell us more about this phenomena, because it's very unusual and it's very striking. And I think it's interesting for everyone to see what is the origin and nature of this energy beam.
Well, I'm very interested in pyramidal structures because I'm dealing with Nikola Tesla. But a lesser known Nikola Tesla in the second part of his life, when he deal more with some strange kind of energy forms, which he called non-Hertzian waves. Because Tesla technologies are based on the ether or ether. That form of substance is expelled from science, and for the ordinary science, Tesla's non-Hertzian waves doesn't exist. But that's a different kind of problem, which will be solved in the future. But I strongly believe in every Tesla words, and I try to find who is right, modern science or Tesla. And in my investigations, I find a lot of similarities between Tesla principles and principles which I find in ancient descriptions and principles which they use to make pyramidal structures, etc., etc. So I'm sure that Tesla principles and principles which ancient use are very similar. And I start to study pyramidal objects. First moment, which was very important for me, was the information from Dr. Semir Osmanagic that some very unusual energy form is detected on the top of the pyramid of the sun. Please, if you can show us picture number 1. In the spring of 2010, physicist Slobodan Mizrak depicted and measured an electromagnetic beam passing through the top of the Bosnian pyramid of the sun with a radius of 4.5 meters and the frequency of 28 kilohertz. The radiation intensity outside this radius is minimal, and within the energy beam at the surface of the pyramid was about 1.9 volts. If the probe was raised 3 meters from the surface of the pyramid, the intensity was increased to 3.9. These unusual values indicate that we deal with the kind of non-Hertzian phenomenon which is correlated with Tesla's scalar waves. Based upon previous researches and earlier cognitions of the ultrasound and electromagnetic radiation on the hill Visočica, that is the real name of the Bosnian pyramid of the sun in the archaeological site Visoko, at the end of April on 2012, a very important experiment was performed under the guidance of Dr. Slobodan Mizrak. Please, if you can show picture number 2. Experiment of great complexity needed more days to assemble the equipment on the field and more than few months to plan the analytics of the work, testing and develop of the equipment needed for the experiment, in which the measurements lasted more than 39 hours. Now we can see picture number 3. Under direct control over 4 cameras wirelessly connected with operative center located in the hotel pyramid of the sun in Visoko, strong transmitters of about 45 watts were situated on the top of the pyramid of the sun, which radiation combined with the existing radiation from the pyramid was fully registered full time during the experiment. All 39 hours, or if you want exactly, 448 seconds. During the experiment, ultrasound and electromagnetic wave on frequencies close to those previously detected on the pyramid of the sun and other objects inside the archaeological site Visoko, with the frequency from 26 to 36 kilohertz in steps of 100 hertz in duration of 2 seconds with 2 seconds pause was scanned. Sensors for reception of electromagnetic wave were located on the top of the pyramid, and sensors of mechanical waves, also sound and ultrasound on the top, and also in the tunnels of Ravne. Their work was recorded continuously during all the 39 hours of measuring. Collected data of more than 30 terabytes were analyzed in 3 different independent statistical centers for mathematical analysis in order to get more reliable results. Final results, which we collected after 3 months of research, are completely identical. And now, please, if you can show us picture number 4, where we can see the measuring results in the electromagnetic domain and in mechanical domain. So this is a number 4. I cannot see the picture on the screen, and I will use mine. So on this picture, you can see that we get 2 points of electromagnetic source of this energy beam, which is about 2,440 meters below the ground and about 412 meters horizontally moved from the vertical line. So the path or wavelength of that energy vibration is about 2,474 meters, which is very, very interesting, because all these numbers are correlated with the frequency of 28 kilohertz, which we measured above the pyramid. This is a value which is lambda quarter of a wavelength, very close to lambda quarter of the measured vibration on 28 kilohertz. And also what we find there is same frequency in the mechanical domain that's shown on the picture number 5. And on that picture, we can see that what was recorded is a sound combination and ultrasound. Central frequency is between 28.3 to 28.4 kilohertz. So it's ultrasound, mechanical vibration, and we have harmonics on every 9,444 hertz. So every 9 kilohertz, we have harmonics with the distance among peaks of them about 9 kilohertz. That's very interesting, but even at first glance, it may be observed direct correlation between mechanical and electromagnetic vibration, as well as there are large consent with the realistically size of Visoko Hill. The fact that the geometry of the pyramid of the sun is in accordance with the values of wave mechanics for the frequency of 28 kilohertz in electromagnetic as well as in a mechanical domain indicates that this object is a resonator for the electromagnetic phenomenon as it was detected on the top of that hill. The presence of quartz crystals in the structure of the same object explains the detection of mechanical vibration of the same frequency, ultrasound and the sound as their harmonics. Well, do you have some question?
So just to make it clear also for our viewers, so as you mentioned, the energy beam is observed like 2,000 meters above the top of the pyramid, right?
Yes. Yes.
So it's basically
concentrate in circle of 4.5 meters diameter. Outside of that circle, this signal energy level is much lower on the pyramid of the sun.
And two things coming here. Is it increasing with the height or it's decreasing?
Yes,
decreasing with the height.
That was very interesting for me, which when Dr. Osmanagic tell me that information, and he said that this is a very hard to explain from the aspects of modern science, that increasing of energy level with the altitude cannot be described except if the source is above the pyramid. But we have nothing on the sky which can emit 28 kilohertz, which wavelength is about 10 kilometers, constant all the day and night, etc., etc. And concentrated in so thin beam. That's a great problem for ordinary science. But I told him that that could be a problem for classical form of electromagnetic waves. But for Tesla technologies, that's something quite normal. And we can expect such measurings because Tesla spoke about stationary waves. And if we have this form of energy vibrations, which are based on subtle energy forms, ether, etc., then we can expect every combination of energy increasing, decreasing, be constant, or slowly changing, fast changing. Everything what we can imagine can be achieved with the Tesla ethereal technologies.
Basically, it's very groundbreaking information for modern physics as well, that the signal is increasing with the height.
Not only increasing, Later, we made a lot of different kind of measurements because it was very, very interesting what we find there for the ordinary science and for us as investigators, especially for me, which are dealing with tested
question from my side: is this energy beam observed with delay, or is it like maybe uninterrupted, or is it like focused that is emanating from the top of the pyramid?
Yes, we all, especially me, is a very curious investigator, and we do a lot of measurings on all the objects in the archaeological park in Visoko, and during the eclipse of the moon on July 27, 2018. I and the team of the Foundation Archaeological Park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, performed measurements at the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. This astronomical phenomenon was special because it is total lunar eclipse, the most intense in this century, and in addition, the planet Mars has approached to the closest planet to Earth in the past 15 years. So this Sun, Earth, Moon, Mars alignment was an opportunity to see the impact of the operation of the energy machine, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Measurements were made before the eclipse, during, and the results was compared with the recent measurements in May 2018. These results are very significant. The cosmic configuration affected the operation of the pyramidal machine, so that the intensity of the electric beam detected at its top became twice as strong. The next day, when the constellation was broken, the signal was back to normal. Detailed report can be found on the Foundation's website in my blog. But in essence, what we saw, that intensity of the energy beam is somehow correlated with the planets' constellations, with moving of the Earth around the Sun during the year, etc., which speak that there is a great connection between energy flow and a relation between planets and the position of the Earth regarding the Sun and maybe in all the galaxy. So that was a good reason for further investigations.
Awesome, thank you. And also we wanted to ask you that the connection between the pyramid of the Sun and Tesla technology. I mean, the operating frequency of the Wardenclyffe Tower that Tesla built is also 28 kilohertz, as well as the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. And can you please elaborate more on that?
Yes, that is a very, very interesting for me, because the fact that the physical parameters of the Pyramid of the Sun absolutely match the values of the wavelength of the electromagnetic phenomenon of 28 kilohertz, which is really unusual, especially since we find the same values in the geometry and design of Tesla's famous magnifying transmitter from Colorado Springs. Magnifying transmitter was a very special machine of Nikola Tesla, which he developed in Colorado Springs. and which later was he intended to use for sending, wirelessly sending of energy. So this is very, very controversial informations, and this agreement between Weyers regarding wave mechanics became very, very interesting for me, because please can you show picture number 6? We can see that Tesla extra coil wire length is 778 meters. Secondary coil is 801 meter. And that's very close to Vysočica virtual top, which is 782 meters. And what's more interesting, this value, 782 meters twice 2, we get a number 1,564 meters, which is absolutely very close to mountain Rtan altitude or heightness, which is 1,565 meters. And that value also is a wavelength of the vibration in my Tesla technology laboratory. And these numbers became very interesting for me, because all of these numbers are harmonics one of each other. So we can see that electromagnetic radiation source in Vysočica hill, which we find with measuring, was 2,474 meters, which divided with the pi half, we get 1,575 meters. That is a more than interesting result, because we know that ancient technologies use all the basic cosmical constants in their principles, which we can find in the Cheops pyramid and also in Tesla machines. We can find the golden mean, pi half, and natural logarithm also, etc., etc. In detail, we can see that real height of Vysočica hill is 197 meters, and times 4 we get 788 meters, which is a lambda quarter of Tesla coil or Vysočica virtual hill, etc., etc. So the analysis of the values that can be found in the dimensions of the pyramid of Cheops, the pyramid of the sun, and Tesla technologies also indicate that very likely identical functional mechanisms. According to all my theoretical and practical researches, the knowledge of ancient civilizations woven into the geometry and structure of pyramidal and sacral buildings largely outweighs the present knowledge. Nikola Tesla, by me, was one of the first scientists of these civilizations who seriously approached their knowledge and skills. His high compliance and numerical values defined by the axiomatic principles of Sankhya Karika, for example. Please, if you can show picture number 7. And a series of modern physics phenomena from the macro and microstructure, as well as Tesla's masterpiece machine, magnifying transmitter, parameters, should be a powerful stimulus for ancient and modern knowledge harmonization, which would undoubtedly contribute to the new scientific discoveries. Namely, in my opinion, Tesla's magnifying transmitter, in spite of all its simplicity, is actually the most advanced machine of this civilization. By its sophistication, it is completely analogous to the Cheops pyramid. That also is a multidimensional resonant subtle energy machine whose vibrations are aligned with the zero-point field and, of course, the pulsations of the cosmos. That's my opinion about great similarity in principles and what we find in the measured frequencies, energy forms in the form of scalar field, correlations between dimensions, and anybody who deal with wave mechanics know that length of the wire of antenna is crucial parameter for energy emit radiation, etc. And it is really interesting that Visoko pyramid, Rtany mountain in Serbia, and coil dimensions of Tesla's magnifying transmitter has very, very similar values in meters. So that is very, very interesting. So yes. I think that work principles also are the same, because all these phenomena are some kind of resonators which amplify the energy flows which flow through these objects.
Yes, totally agree. I think it's really interesting, and there seems indeed to be an interesting resonance phenomena happening in pyramids in Bosnia and also in on the Giza Plateau. And we also wanted to ask you about if you've been able to determine what was the source of the longitudinal scalar waves. I mean, were these the Ravne tunnels or this mysterious metal object that was found underneath the Pyramid of the Sun?
Yes, thank you for this question. Very interesting question. Because the measurings which I mentioned was really very, very sophisticated and complicated, with a lot of equipment, but with a lot of scientists. A team was a very lot of different kind of specialities, physicists, sound engineers, etc. So our team has about 20 people. So after measurements, we analyzed the results, and what was published is opinion of all the team. But my opinion is a little bit different. The metal object under the Pyramid of the Sun as a source of radiation is the official explanation of the foundation and the team that carry out the measurements in April 2012. Please, if you can show picture 7A. However, my personal opinion is that carried out the measurements is that it is actually a stationary wave node created by the interaction of subtle energy flow between the Earth and Sun, through the pyramid, of course, which by the resonant mechanisms of planet Earth and the pyramidal structure shapes this longitudinal wave of potential into a scalar field, and in essence, three-dimensional standing wave, whose nodal point seems to us to be a source of radiation. This opinion was also confirmed in the measurements where we used a drone spacecraft. During energetic phenomena research in archaeological park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, in September 2016, drone aircraft and a specially adapted hardware and software solution was used for recording spatial distribution of the electric field strength above the Pyramid of the Sun and other facilities.
With the help we have your video with us, so maybe we can ask our technical support to play this video, and then you can comment, because it's, you know, when we, all of us and our viewers will be able to have a look, then we will ask you to comment on this.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we can try to play this video now. If our technical support maybe will be able to do it, would be great.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. For 4 years. So the drone in that time cannot bring more than few hundred grams. So we have to make a very special laboratory, which have to be not more than 800 grams. And I find the solution in the combination of PC oscilloscope and tablet with Windows operation system. Here is one guy, Marko Pogačnik from Croatia, owner of the drone machine, which cost about 1,000 euro. But he is a real hero for me because he give his machine. Napraviti jedan panoramski snimak iz kog će moći vidjeti on sad he same piramide, tako da ja mislim da će biti super za kasnije. He has a console with all data, flight altitude, GPS position, exactly in millimeters, altitude, and what was a problem during the measurements was electronic devices, because we know that all the devices has a lot of problems on the places such as Pyramid of the Sun, Bretань Mountain, and similar objects. Because communication via conventional electromagnetic waves is very problematic. And in the first flight, he cannot see nothing on his display. It was dark, and my equipment didn't registrating nothing. These pictures are made on the top of the Pyramid of the Moon, but similar was done on the Pyramid of the Sun and tumulus and all the objects in the archaeological park. Now it is complicated because drone cannot take off from the ground because of my equipment. So this guy from Ireland help us to fly a drone, take off, you can see, and my equipment from start to fly from my hand. And here you can see the flying laboratory, which do measurements all the time and register intensity of energy field, VRMS, voltage in points for which drone software give us the positions. So when we, after measurements, correlated the points which drone registered, GPS coordinates and altitude, we have exactly position in which my equipment recorded some voltage. So after that, we can see the spatial distribution of intensity of energy field. Here on the top of the moon pyramid, we have no problems. Equipment work well, but on the top of the moon and the other facilities, we have now so strong energy beam as it is on the here you can see flying laboratory with the part of wire which is antenna which receive and register the voltage in some point. And you can see that drone operator has a lot of problems in the landing moments. I have first to catch my equipment very carefully, and after that we have to be harmonized. A drone operator, me, and this guy which catch the drone machine, we have to be very carefully. Okay, and we Stepan Matijevich from Croatia, now he is in Ireland. Very good guys, and we succeed to do a lot of measurements. I think this is unique in the world. Here is a tablet connected with the PC oscilloscope. And now I am very happy because drone PC oscilloscope registered all the values in all points. Here I'm describing the equipment. Very primitive, but very efficient. And we done, I think nobody on the world didn't do that until today. These measurements were done before 4 years. And we try to repeat this last year, but on the pyramid of the sun, we didn't succeed because drone fell down because of, I don't know, maybe electromagnetic disturbance, maybe pyramid decided to expel us from the top, but we didn't succeed to measure nothing. Drone was crushed. But next time we will find a stronger machine and do a lot of measurements on the higher value, with the higher values, and see what's happening in the altitudes more than 50 meters, because that was a maximal altitude which we can get with this drone and with my equipment. But that was enough for the first measurement of that type. Ravne 2. This is the also very interesting place in the archaeological park. Here we do measurings above we call that stone circles, and try to see the energy distribution above that object. On the similar way, we have a lot of very measurements on different locations, and we get a very, very useful data, because we see that the same equipment, using the same equipment, we didn't get same results above the different objects. They are very, very different. What we get on the pyramid of the sun, that was some kind of energetic ellipsoid or a three-dimensional standing wave. This kind of scalar field we can we find only above the pyramid of the sun, but on the different locations. Now we can after the movie will finish, we can see the pictures with our measurements, and you can see that the energy forms which we find are not the same. And that is very good. Why? Because that means that our equipment work well and that our results are really, really similar, and that results which we get on above the pyramid of the sun we cannot find nowhere on the other objects. And now this drone is landing. I'm late. Igor, catch the machine. Marco is very happy because his drone is still okay. We were very afraid of electromagnetic disturbances, of wind, etc., birds, etc., etc., but there was no problem. All measurings was good. This is area of Ravnet Loop. Now, 4 years later, on this place, there are a lot of new installations for energy field forms, for meditation, for music listening, and for healing. We have a chamber with special kind of energies there. Very interesting place for visit. So this is the end of the movie. No. Yes. With the help of a flying laboratory, we recorded the electric field above the pyramid to a height of about 50 meters, and the same amount in the horizontal plane. Measurements confirmed the existence of a three-dimensional stationary wave above the pyramid of the sun. So if you can show us picture number 8. Excellent. On this picture, we can see the field intensity, electric field intensity in vertical and horizontal plane. And what is really more than interesting, that intensity of became stronger and stronger, and maximal on the 21.3 meter above the real top of the pyramid, and the maximal value is on the virtual top of the pyramid. And after that position, intensity decrease. In a horizontal plane, we can see that we have a circular form, and that intensity of the field doesn't follow the geometrical shape of the object, because pyramid has different geometrical shape. Here we have a circle. And please, second picture, number 8. Here is an object named tumulus, and here we can see that energy beam only decrease with altitude, which is expected, which is a normal. And in the horizontal plane, we can see that shape of energy field follow the lines of the terrain, what is also correct, normal. Similar diagrams we get on the other positions of the objects in the archaeological park. So only pyramid of the sun has some kind of energy spheroid with maximal energy in the center of that three-dimensional standing wave, scalar field, which decrease to the left, right, above, and below. And now if we can see the picture 9. What is more than interesting, when we done all of the measurings, I want to show the results on the map, which is exactly show the real positions, one object regarding the others. And what I find is that all distances between the objects is very, very similar to the wavelength of the vibrations of 28 kilohertz, which means that all the objects support in terms of wave mechanics, support the central object, which is the pyramid of the sun, to emit or broadcast its energy beam. So not only pyramid of the sun, but all objects are the part of the same machine. Because the distribution of the positions of that objects can be randomly, but here we can see that that we have a very strong regularity in very, very similar distances between the objects, which is a principle very similar to Yagi antenna for passive amplifying of electromagnetic waves. So the ancients, I think, knew to use the similar principles for their machines. And if you have some question.
Yeah, we have quite a few questions. Thank you. First, is it possible for you to turn on a light? Because your picture's a little bit dark.
Ah, yes. Just a second, please.
Thank you so much.
I watch the screen and
it's okay. That's okay.
Thank you.
I really loved what you shared here, and I like to go off script sometimes. So I wanted to know for our audience and for myself personally, do you guys volunteer your efforts to perform your experiments? and your drone operator is very skilled. So he volunteered his time.
Yes, yes, bravo.
That is amazing. That is amazing. We can do a lot when we volunteer together. It's quite fun. So I have the next question. Are the same longitudinal scalar waves detected in the other Visoko pyramids or any other pyramids that you know of?
Yes, on all objects in the archaeological park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, but not in the form of three-dimensional stationary waves, but only in the form of a electrical component that is in the form of longitudinal scalar waves, but we have no three-dimensional stationary waves.
Okay.
So the values which we find are very similar on different positions. We have no rising or decreasing with altitude, with horizontal position, just has a scalar field which is same in all positions.
So it's the exact same in all positions, you're saying? There's no
but
differentiation.
What is really more than interesting is the, I can see, we saw in the previous picture. What is really more than interesting is the layout of the objects in the archaeological park and their mutual distances. Please show me, I forgot what I have on the pictures. 10. Yes, no, thank you, no. That was a previous picture where we can see in the measurements done in June 2016, I showed that a realistic arrangement of objects in the archaeological park strongly agree with the principles of affirmative interference that is applied in the construction of the so-called Yagi antenna, which is used today for passive amplification, electromagnetic, radio, and television signals. Considering that archaeological park is an assembly of 7 elements exactly arranged in such a way that all their mutual distances are harmonized according to the principles for passive resonance or amplifiers construction, and what's more, exactly for the frequency of 28 kilohertz. That is a frequency of energetic beam that central object Bosnian Pyramid broadcast, and it is hard to believe that such object's configuration is accidental. So this kind of a scalar field we have only registered find only above the Pyramid of the Sun, and other objects has only scalar field, but not in the form of standing wave, because these objects, I think, has no geometry, and they are not resonance in such intensity as the Pyramid of the Sun, and cannot form standing waves. But this object helped to the central object to make three-dimensional standing wave, which we call Tesla scalar waves.
Awesome, thank you. So in short, all the other structures work together in a harmonious relationship for the main structure.
Yes, that's very interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Distances between the objects. Anyone can go to Google Earth and take the positions of all the phenomena, and what he can find is exact values and numbers of distances which are directly correlated with the wavelength of frequency which we find 28 kilohertz, and that's pure wave mechanic made by ancients, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that information. It's really interesting and very detailed. I love it. I have the next question as well. In terms of what you've already shared with us and the information given to the audience, and what much of the audience and those that may be watching have done research on their own, as far as cosmic internet or interplanetary communication, in your opinion, could these pyramids or any of the pyramids play a part in this?
Now, this is an excellent question because I will answer, and you will see that measurements which we saw on the movie and what we done before 4 years are very, very useful. Why? Because regarding our measurements, now I can answer you that what we have already said, that in measurements with a drone in September 2016, we registered energy form that was of the scalar type, with a very special design and geometry difficult to explain by classical electromagnetism, which clearly indicates its specificity. Registered spatial energy distribution in the certain space area above the top of the pyramid of the sun has the shape of elongated ball or energetic ellipsoid with maximum intensity at its center. But the central axis of that ellipsoid was not vertical, but slightly inclined toward the sun. That was very interesting. To the south and to the sun, of course. Given the time of the measuring, which was very close to noon, that line was directed toward to the sun. This fact indicates the possibility that this energy ellipsoid follow the sun. That is, that there is a direct Earth-Sun connection realized by a subtle energy flow in the form of longitudinal scalar waves. The same principle could continue further towards the center of the galaxy and then towards the center of the galactic cluster, which directly provides the possibilities of instant intergalactic communications. In short, pyramidal structures could be important elements of the cosmic internet. That's my opinion. Because communications via scalar waves is instant, we have no to wait that signal arrive from sun to Earth or from the other galaxy to Earth as we have when we use classical electromagnetic waves, because velocity of the classical electromagnetic waves is very high, about 3.10 power 8. That's a great velocity, but distance is also great. So we have to wait the signal in electromagnetic form as a radio wave or optical wave, never mind. We have to wait about 8 minutes and 14 seconds for the signal in electromagnetic form from the sun. But from the other stars, we have to wait years, years and years. But using scalar waves or torsional waves, which are seriously investigated now in modern science, their velocities is much greater, 10 power 9 times velocity of the light. And theoretically, scalar waves, Tesla scalar waves, we have no way, nothing, because we can reach signals immediately or instant communication. which is a form, which I mean that God used for his.
You know, Goran, you've provided us with such an evidence. It's really interesting because I'm under the assumption that in order to be considered a society, we should first and foremost have the hallmark of free energy and free communication. And so, what you're saying essentially is that not only you, but and many others, but Tesla had shown that this was completely plausible, and that we're kind of behind the curve a little bit by 100 or so years. You know. It's really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing all of your scientific evidence with us and then explaining it as well. Thank you.
Thank you for interesting.
I just would like to ask the question about the layout of this Bosnian archaeological park. There is also a river, yeah? There is a source of water close to these three pyramids that in this location as well. Maybe you can also comment on the existence of this river that actually binds these three pyramids together, because as we have noticed, for example, close to the pyramids of Giza, there is also, for example, source of water, River Nile. And you know, it's not by coincidence, as you are saying now, that also in Bosnian pyramids we have found the same source of water. Maybe it somehow can be linked together. What do you think?
Well, all of my research and measurements point to pyramidal objects as resonators of subtle energy flows. The basic property of each resonator is to maintain the amplitude and frequency of the vibration for which it is resonant. So, pyramidal buildings are not only some unusual objects of the past, intended for some important individuals, kings, or I don't know, pharaohs, but are much more than that. The energy phenomena which we have detected, as we have already said, indicate the possibility the pyramidal structures are some kind of hotspot elements of the cosmic internet, intended for the benefit of planet Earth, of the man of the present, but also of the humanity of the future. Yet, as subtly energy resonators, the pyramids could also be a significant and purposeful holistic objects, guardians of biological matrix of life. Given that life as a phenomenon characterizes not only humans, but also the planet Earth, the proven harmony of dimensions, geometry, and structure of the pyramids and the Earth certainly confirms the possibility that pyramids are planned and purpose-built objects, multidimensional scalar wave resonators and energy harmonizers, which by torsion waves passive amplification provide universal connection of everything that exists in the macro and microcosmos within or around us instantly, regardless of spatial distance, form, and level of existence. Harmonization of all energy processes, electromagnetic, mechanical, and subtle energy forms, include all phenomena that accompany the corresponding climatic phenomena. So, pyramids are universal keepers of all energy forms which we live emerged in or surrounded by.
Thank you so much, Dr. Goran, for such an extraordinary and groundbreaking information. Actually, I just would like to summarize some points before we are coming to our last part on creative society. So basically, you used flying laboratory to measure this the energy beam emanating from top of the pyramid. Also, this research lasted 39 hours, as you mentioned. Yes, so extraordinary work in terms of also, I mean, was done to finalize this experiment. Also, you mentioned us about the cosmic internet. So it's actually instilling to us this, you know, this hope that we can rediscover this technology and we are capable to use them. You said that it's like future humanity, but we actually hope that we can use it in this generation as well. And also, thanks to Jason's question, we also understood that all this work was done on the voluntary basis. So it's actually produces a lot of respect to your team and to this work that was done actually for humanity, for discovering the truth. And now I think Alexey will tell us about the Creative Society project that is extremely important, and I think it goes well with this voluntary work that all of us are doing.
Yes, I mean, I just wanted to quickly summarize that, maybe remind our viewers that we are building a creative society, a society where everyone is happy. And I guess that this kind of work, like people volunteering to uncover the truth or just being curious about the what is surrounding them, is one of the great examples. And as Jason mentioned, the free energy is one of the conditions, necessary conditions for like getting to the next level of evolution as a society. And what do you think? Do you make this evolutionary step as a humanity? Even the physics and as well as other branches of science, they should be serving all of the humanity, right? And how would you envision the development of physics in such a society? And should we maybe go back to paleophysics, the term you coined, I guess?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. According to the knowledge of the ancients, which we can find in Vedic documents and similar, the world is a perfect creation created by modeling an infinite number of variations of fractal entities into a finite set of phenomena of holographic structure. By the action of the principle of self-similarity, all entities of reality arise in eternal processes of self-sustaining harmonic volumetric vibrations in the mode of breathing, forming volumetric three-dimensional standing waves according to the principles of sacred geometry, whose form is based on the values of elementary cosmic constants, number pi, golden section, and Euler number. Simple mathematical analysis of energy density quantized model, of which I am the author, show the Pythagorean principle of accordion and harmony of the number pi, golden section, and the number E, Euler number. Can you please show the picture number 14? So this takes place in evolution. This constants takes place in the evolution and involution trajectory line arrangement, or that all manifested and unmanifested forms of substratum transformations follow the same cosmic universally valid laws, whether they are of material, particle and wave, or spiritual form. This fact allows us plenty of new insights and possible correlation between the ancient knowledge and modern science, as well as between spiritual and material aspects of reality. This synthesis of an ancient knowledge exposed in the Vedic and related documents, Nikola Tesla technologies, and contemporary scientific knowledge would certainly contribute to new scientific discoveries and the prosperity of civilization in all aspects of life. That's my opinion, and I'm sure that it would be so.
I think now technical support can show to us this inspiring video about creative society. So all of us can watch and have this understanding what is it for us, what does it mean for us, and what all of us can do to come to this as close and as fast as possible. If technical support can be so kind, please to play this video now about creative society.
Every day, we share a great amount of information. This information forms our reality. Is this the way we wish to live? We need change. The change starts with us, with the information we share. Consumerist society leads us to death. We need a new vector of life, a creative society. It is up to you and me to build a creative society worldwide, where human life is the main value. Development of humanity is the main aim. Human safety is the main priority. Is it possible to build a creative society now? Yes. All we need to do is unite in one common idea, a creative society. People around the world are already acting to share the idea of creative society with the whole world to make it a reality. Learn how on the unique international online conference, Creative Society. United We Can. December 20th, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, live on Alatra TV. You are the one who can change the future.
This conference, very global, worldwide event about creative society, where we are inviting scientists, physicists, geologists, climatologists, I don't know, actually anyone is welcome to give their opinion. How do they see actually science? How do they see changes in the society? Because this is what people want. And also in the creative society, I think pyramidology as a science also will be put on a new rail. And basically, it will help us to rediscover our past in its beauty, to rediscover our past basically for the benefit of everyone. And the last question that we have, it's also about climate change, because on the platform of Alatra International Public Movement, the report was released 5 years ago on the problems and consequences of global climate change on Earth, effective ways to solve these problems. Where it's showing to us that the Earth is going through certain climatic cycles related to the astrophysics and processes happening basically in the whole solar system. And maybe you heard something, or maybe you are aware of any connection of the pyramidal structures, maybe they can somehow assist us to diminish the effect of the upcoming cataclysms. Maybe they play a role. I mean, I don't know, to help us to stabilize a certain process occurring inside the core of the Earth. Based on your experience, maybe you can comment on this point.
Well, momentarily, I make one receiving device, but not for receiving conventional electromagnetic waves. This device is used by Dr. Korotayev, and he and his team do measurings of the signals from the sun. And usually signals, ordinary signals, which he received with ordinary equipment in the form of radio or optical waves, which are also radio waves, but different frequency. We have to wait, as we know, 8 minutes. But using special electrolytic detector, as he called it, he received different kinds of energy flows, which they call no electromagnetic, because they are scientists, PhD, and they cannot use words as ether and similar. But they just say that they receive non-electromagnetic waves because these signals arrive to his sensor up to 140 days before the signals which they receive in a conventional form. So 140 days, it's 4 months. That means that we can receive, but signals are absolutely correlative and the same, which means that what's happening on the sun, we can know 140 days before we can see that changes using ordinary equipment. And this can help us to know, to decide what to do, because we know 4 months before what we are what will happen in sun, wind, etc., etc. Because we know that sun emit and broadcast not only radio waves but a lot of particles in the form of sun, wind, etc., etc. And as we can see, in different kind of energy forms, which can be received 140 days. Structures and ancient knowledge can really help us to see what's happening around us in the different aspects of life, including climate processes. We can prepare our civilization for what we can expect if something happened on sun, on center of galaxy, on different stars, etc., etc. Because we can see that these processes are intertwined, are connected, and Mayans know that and make their tables for different kind of time, quality of time, and we know for what's happening on the Earth is correlated with positions of the planets, of galaxies, and so everything is connected with everything. And communications with the nature on different energy forms, using the different energy forms, we can get much more informations and prepared for what we can expect.
Friend, thank you so much for your wonderful explanation that you've given us so far. In closing, I just want to briefly go over what we've discussed so far before we get out of here and part ways. We've discussed the principles of Nikola Tesla and your observations and many different scientists who are volunteering their efforts and their observations of these principles being cohesive with your guys' observations. And we've discussed what this means for creative society, for creative people, and for humanity as a whole. And in your answering of the last question regarding the possible assistance of this information in avoiding or determining the outcome of cataclysmic events, I would like to ask one more question. Uh, Based upon your hypothesis, it is completely feasible with the information you've given us today and our viewers today to develop the tools to foresee any changes in the ionosphere or in the cosmic space as a whole to better prepare ourselves. That is what I've gathered so far from what you've shared with me. Can you confirm that?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So I wish you well with your development and may we see more. And with the information you've given us and other principles that are highlighted under the 8 pillars of creative society, the openness of information, we can do this together, I do believe. So thank you so much for your time and attention. And thank you to my fellow friends, Olga and Alexei. Thank you. Uh, Goran, we wish you the best. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you
Thank you.
also, and all the team of Alatra TV, because I was a guest before, I think, 1-2 years, and have very great experience in pyramid, your pyramid. What I feel inside of that object, I can confirm that you succeed to make some object which really do what ancients intended these objects for. My communications with reality was strongly intensified in the area outside of my ordinary senses. And that form of communications with reality helped me a lot to see the beauty of the nature in a wide spectrum of colors than I can see with my eyes, for example. Thank you very much for these questions. If someone is interested in to know something more, I have my blog on the site of the foundation, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, and have my site with lot of text about measuring, about Tesla's experiments. I have my own laboratory for Tesla technology, 20 years. And what I have done there is to do a lot of measuring using Tesla diary from Colorado Springs. And I have a lot of experience in measuring of energy phenomena in the area of former Yugoslavia, in Bosnia, Macedonia, Croatia, Slovenia, but in the countries different, Italy, etc., etc. And I do a lot of measurings, and I can I use scientific equipment and scientific methods, but I use some pseudoscientific methods and measurements, and can correlate the measuring results. And I can say that what you are doing is very helpful for this civilization, and you are absolutely on the right way. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
The last observation, Goran, you was just mentioning that you have your blog and also you have your own internet resources. In the coming week, if you can share this information about the upcoming conference with your fellow colleagues, scientists, physicists, even with whom you work together in the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, about this conference, that would be the help number one, because this is very important for us, for humanity. And as you mentioned, in the Creative Society, we don't have pseudo-scientific methods. We have methods that are serving humanity to discover the truth. And now it is in our hands, when only 1 week is left, to do our best to inform the people around us, especially scientific community, about this opportunity to build science in the Creative Society. So this would be of utmost help to us, to everyone, to share this message in your resources. As you mentioned, you now to us that you have them. So this would be the tremendous help in the coming week.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. So see you later. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.